Taming the Organism, Understanding and Managing Exponential Growth. Introduction: Linear Minds in an Exponential World. Human beings are wired to think linearly. Our everyday experiences reinforce the idea that change happens incrementally, one step at a time, with effects that are proportional to causes. This is why linear growth feels intuitive. However, in many systems, growth is not linear. It is quadratic, cubic, or in the most extreme cases, exponential. These forms of growth are far less intuitive, especially exponential growth, which compounds upon itself, mimicking the behavior of an organism reproducing unchecked. In this analysis, we will explore how exponential growth emerges, why it is so insidious, and how it impacts financial systems, particularly through compounding debt. We will also compare linear, quadratic, cubic, and exponential growth, examining real-world implications and proposing more sustainable systems to manage growth. Section 1. Growth Dynamics. Linear to exponential growth can take many forms, each defined by how a system evolves over time. Linear growth. Change is constant and proportional to the starting value. Quadratic growth. The output scales with the square of the input, accelerating at a manageable pace. Cubic growth. The output scales with the cube of the input, accelerating faster than quadratic growth. Exponential growth. The most dynamic form of growth, where each step multiplies the current value, leading to runaway effects. Using comparative tables, we can see that quadratic and cubic growth remain predictable, but exponential growth quickly outpaces the others. Unlike linear systems, exponential growth depends on the repeated introduction of previous outputs as inputs, creating a self-sustaining feedback loop. Section 2. The insidiousness of exponential growth. Exponential growth's defining feature, its feedback loop, makes it dangerous and difficult to manage. It is not merely fast, it accelerates over time, often far exceeding initial expectations. This is why exponential growth has been compared to an organism. It is alive, evolving, and self-replicating. Left unchecked, it can spiral out of control, whether in biological systems, technology adoption curves, or most alarmingly, debt. Compound interest, a case study in exponential growth. Compound interest, a hallmark of modern financial systems, exemplifies exponential growth. Consider a 30-year mortgage of $200,000 at 5% interest, compounding monthly. The borrower pays $1,073.64 per month. Over 30 years, the total amount paid is $386,511.57, including $186,511.57 in interest. The borrower essentially buys the house twice, handing over one house's worth of value to the bank. This system disproportionately benefits lenders while burdening borrowers, making debt servicing a long-term drag on economic prosperity. Exponential growth as an organism. Exponential systems mimic the behavior of organisms. They grow, replicate, and feed on available resources. Left unchecked, they can spiral out of control, consuming entire ecosystems, whether biological, economic, or societal. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 3. Real-world implications. Exponential growth manifests in many financial products. Mortgages. Long-term loans compound interest over decades, leading to payments far exceeding the principal. Credit cards. Interest compounds on unpaid balances, creating cycles of debt that can trap consumers indefinitely. National debt. Governments borrowing against future productivity often face spiraling interest obligations that inflate deficits. Alternatives: neutralizing the feedback loop. 1. Bounded compound interest. Calculate interest for the entire term upfront, where t equals 1, and distribute it evenly across payments, removing the feedback loop. 2. Simple interest models use linear interest calculations to provide predictable and fair repayment terms. 3. Shorter loan terms reduce compounding effects by shortening repayment periods, albeit with higher monthly payments. Section 4. A call for change. The current financial system relies heavily on compounding debt, enabled by fiat money creation and credit expansion. This system is inflationary, unsustainable, and increasingly burdensome for individuals and governments. Civilization must develop more efficient ways to raise capital and support economic activity without relying on exponential growth mechanisms. Potential solutions include decentralized finance, DeFi, transparent, programmable financial products that eliminate opaque compounding mechanisms, asset-backed lending, systems tied to tangible value rather than abstract credit creation, educational initiatives, teaching exponential growth's impact to improve financial literacy and empower consumers. Conclusion: Taming the Organism. Exponential growth is a double-edged sword. While it drives innovation and progress in some domains, it poses existential risks in others, particularly when mismanaged in financial systems. By understanding its nature and recognizing its effects, humanity can design systems that harness its power without succumbing to its chaos. The key is awareness, transparency, and a commitment to sustainable growth.